Some individuals are a walking plague of curse, while others have such good luck that they can escape death. No amount of car accidents, natural disasters, or misfortunes affects them. This is the story of 6 real people who survived the impossible. Alright guys, grab your coffee, smash that subscribe button, and let's start. Number 6. Parachute sabotage. Victoria Cilliers was set to undertake a parachute jump on Easter Sunday 2015, a gift given to her by her husband Emile Cilliers. However, what she didn't know was that her loving husband had tampered with her main and backup parachute, removing vital parts so that it couldn't function properly. Now, as Victoria made the jump out of the airplane, her parachute began spinning out of control, causing her to plummet 4,000 feet to the ground. This fall is literally something that no one could survive. However, a miracle ended up happening, because Victoria ended up breaking her fall on a field of soil that had just been plowed. She managed to survive but suffered serious injuries. Now, after some investigation, they realized that Victoria's husband, Emile Cilliers, who was surprisingly an army sergeant, was the one who sabotaged her parachute. All in an attempt to murder her so that he could receive 120 pounds in life insurance money, then live a life with one of his 2 other lovers. But this wasn't even his first time trying to kill Victoria, cause before this incident, he actually tampered with the gas valve in their home. He loosened the nut on the valve in order for the gas to leak. All the while, he left to spend the night with another woman as his wife and kids were sleeping. Fortunately, Victoria smelled the leak in the morning and managed to take care of it before something could go wrong. As for her husband, he was charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison while having to serve a minimum of 18 years. Number 5. Half a head. When Carlos Rodriguez was only 14, he was pretty much a menace. In fact, he was so troubled that after a heavy day of binge drinking and doing drugs, he stole a car. Obviously not being in the right state of mind, I'm sure you could guess what happened. Carlos crashed the car and hit a pole. This massive accident caused him to get ejected from his seat, fly right through his window, and make heavy contact with the ground. Many people who've had lesser accidents ended up kicking the bucket. However, this guy wasn't going down so easily. He was rushed to the hospital, and in order to save his life, he had to have a huge portion of his brain and skull removed. But despite the huge chunk of brain that's missing, surprisingly his memory and cognitive abilities weren't affected much. He was able to maintain most of his mental functions and can easily do whatever we can do. Now, luck may be on his side when it comes to cheating death, but this criminal is plagued by constantly getting in trouble with the law and getting arrested numerous times for serious offenses, one of them being attempted murder. Number 4. Escaping death times 3. This next incident involves getting hit by a car, a train, and falling off a bridge. Homeless man Robert Evans was cruising on his bike one evening when he was struck by a hit-and-run driver. He was taken to the hospital, treated for minor injuries, then released later that day after surviving the car accident. However, about 2 hours later, as he was making his way back to his makeshift home, he decided to cross a railroad bridge, and unfortunately, a freight train was speeding right towards him. Robert was struck by it and knocked off the bridge 10 feet below. And guess what? Nothing fazed this guy. He managed to escape death once again with minor injuries, but police did give him a ticket for trespassing and ban him from ever going to that bridge ever again. Number 3. Sole survivor. Imagine being trapped 100 feet deep in the ocean with no way of getting out. Well, here's the horrifying story. Harrison Okine was working on a tugboat as a cook along with 11 others when a heavy ocean swell came and slammed against their boat, causing it to sink deep in the ocean's depths. The boat, as you can imagine, got filled with water, and all the crew members on board ended up drowning. All except for Harrison. Cause you see, as luck would have it, he was up at 5 a.m. for a morning whiz when this all began. And as the boat plummeted 30 meters deep in the ocean, Harrison was bounced around into another room. Now, still alive, the vessel settled at the bottom, and fortunately, he managed to find one air bubble that was a little more than a meter thick. This was enough for him to stay alive for as long as he could, and so he ended up getting 2 mattresses that were nearby, stacked them on top of each other in order to stay above the rising water. 60 hours passed, meaning nearly 3 days until a rescue team was able to find him. He was there with no food, no water, and the air he was breathing was becoming more concentrated with carbon dioxide. All that time passed by and he was finally taken to safety, but he had to spend 2 days in a decompression chamber, and aside from the reoccurring nightmares, extreme hunger, and the peeling of his skin, he was returned back to health. Number 2. A limb for a life. Let me ask you, honestly speaking, would you give up your entire arm as a last-ditch effort to save your life? Well, this was a dilemma that a mountaineer by the name of Aaron Ralston had to face. In 2003, Aaron was descending down a narrow slot in Blue John Canyon, Utah. That was when a boulder came loose, tumbling down, crushing his right forearm, pinning it to a point where he couldn't get free. He was then trapped there for 5 days. All the while, the rations of his food and water were running out. That was when he had to make an extremely tough decision. Either pass away alone in this canyon, or do something out of a Saw movie and get rid of his arm in order to become free. And so he did just that. Aaron ended up breaking his bones first and then used a dull pocket knife to finish off the job. Now it wasn't over yet, cause after those days of exhaustion, he still had to hike 7 miles down to safety. Needless to say, our friend ended up making it. It's like this guy has a next level will to survive. Number 1. The impossible operation. Rick Janis, the star of this story, would begin having blackouts early in his teenage years, and by the time he turned 15, he was diagnosed with a massive brain tumor located behind his optic nerve. The doctors gave him an ultimatum: either do a surgery that would leave him permanently disfigured, or receive a different surgery that had only been successfully completed just one time in North America. While I think the majority of people aren't gamblers like that and they'd most likely choose the safer operation that would probably leave them disfigured, Rick went the opposite direction. He decided to test his luck and go for the riskier surgery, knowing full well that his chances of survival were slim. 6 months later, nearly 50% of his brain was removed during the operation, but luckily they managed to get rid of the tumor and also keep his life, making Rick the second person in North America to find success with this surgery. Now, after going through this whole ordeal, he realized that life was too short not to fulfill his dreams of tattooing and modifying his body. So at the age of 16, he got his first tattoo and began his journey of turning himself into this iconic figure, getting the nickname Zombie Boy. He ended up covering 90% of his body in tattoos and was recognized in the Guinness World Record for having the most human bones inked on oneself. Not only that, but he had a successful modeling career thanks to his unique look, and also ended up starring in Lady Gaga's music video, Born This Way. Now, even though he survived an operation that was near impossible, unfortunately in his later years, he ended up passing away after falling off the 3rd floor of a balcony. Alright, now let me know your entire thoughts on this. Is your luck as good as theirs, or are you like one of us common folk and things don't really go your way? Let me know in the comment sections below. Anyways, subscribe for my Turtle Summy Jr., smash that like button, destroy it, annihilate it, let the algorithms go crazy, and I'll see you guys next Saturday.